Wild and Free Art. Today I'm going to show you how to make these adorable little booklets out of book pages, those big decorative book pages, and some collage, as well as your junk mail envelopes. So these are things that lots of us have around, hanging around all over the place, and sometimes, especially those bigger book pages, we don't necessarily know how to use them all up. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I did these using pages from these books and a couple other book pages that I happened to have lying around. I made these for the market that I am going to be selling at in just a couple of weeks, and hopefully people will like them as much as I do. So the first step is to prepare your envelopes, which are going to be the base of your book. So you're going to be attaching the pages and collage on top of these envelopes. So what I've done here is I've torn some and then I decided to use scissors for the others because they were already pretty bad. Opening them in the future, I will be a lot better. Then you just use the scissors or a letter opener or a knife, however, to cut the sides, the top and bottom, or the left and right, depending on how you're looking at it, in order to create a booklet shape. Now, as far as the envelope that you use is concerned, it doesn't matter whether or not it has a window. You can choose to use it or not use it. That's up to you and it's your own creative choice. Here I'm just finishing preparing all of the envelopes. I've got multiple sizes. It doesn't really matter what the size is. I guess that depends on your pages. You can always cut them down, but again, because you're kind of collaging on top of it, you can absolutely use whatever size you want as long as you have papers that will fit inside it. My next step was to choose the book page that I wanted to use as my cover. So this is the image that you're going to choose as your focal point on the cover of your booklet. I decided to go with that lovely image of Borage for one, and then I chose an image from this book of Birds of Britain for my second book that I was making for this video here. As for choice of pages, really it could be, anything that gets your fancy, that you like. I do enjoy botanicals. I decided to go for a crow here because it inspired me and I just liked the layout of the page and how the position of the crow was. So that's why I chose that image. Once you have your focal image chosen, it's time to add your collage elements. Now for this, I got my wonderful scrap box and I'm usually very much, kind of like just toss it all on. But for this case, I actually tried to be a bit more careful about the colors that I chose. I tried to choose colors and stuff that were seen in the main image or that would kind of be pulled out of that image, as well as an opposite color that would really contrast and pop for the image. So here you can see I have the blue from the borage flowers, a similar green that matches the leaves, this kind of neutral beige that matches the background, some vintage style prints and all that. I think that was a piece of cardstock left over, and a little something to kind of pop, to make it stand out a little bit. Remember in your choices that you're also going to be collaging the back as well, so make sure that you have chosen enough papers to do that. So the first one I'm working on here is my little borage one, and I'm just going to experiment and play around with positioning everything until it's the way I would like it to be. Once everything was positioned how I liked it, I went ahead and glued it all down. And now that I'm happy with the cover for the first one, it is time to get started doing pretty much the same thing on the second one. And now that the second one is also done to my liking, it's time for the next step, which is giving it a little bit of a trim. So in order to trim, you could use your guillotine if you have one, but I like the old-fashioned utility knife and ruler. So here I am just trimming off the overlapping bits and excess that I want to get rid of from my covers. The next step is going to be to put the inside papers. So for this case, I went ahead and I chose some pages from this really big book that I got at a tabletop sale for just £2. It has beautiful illustrations in it, and it also has lots of text, which I really liked. So I chose 2 pages that I wanted to use for the inside covers of my little booklets. One with that lovely woodcut drawing of Rose on it, and the other one just text. And the next step I'm going to do is basically just glue them in. When gluing them in, I suggest doing one half of the book and then the other half of it after you've given it a bit of a crease. This just makes sure that it sticks properly all the way to the fold in the middle. Once everything is glued in, it is time to also trim the inside papers. So off camera, I decided to round the corners and to sew around the edges. Obviously, that is completely 100% optional, and that is your choice. I love how the sewing adds a bit of a border for the eye, and it helps to frame the subject of the cover. My next step was to pick papers that I would use inside the books. I used 10 pieces of paper, which gives you 20 pages. So that is just the right amount, I think, for such thin little booklets. It's your choice if you want to have less or more. I just used a combination of book pages, packaging, decorative papers, tea dyed papers, some of my Easter egg dyed papers, and coloring pages and just anything that I had lying around, and I put them in the order that I wanted, and I trimmed them to size to make sure that they fit comfortably inside the book. Once you have your signatures all cut to size, you can just clip them in and sew them in using whichever single signature binding technique you like. Last week I released a video where I showed 6 different ways to bind your single signature booklets, pamphlets, etc. that go beyond the 3-hole pamphlet stitch or the 5-hole pamphlet stitch. So I'll make sure to link that both here in the video and in the description below. So you can kind of make each one unique if you want to, or you can just use whichever binding makes you happy. And once everything is bound in, you are ready and you have your lovely little mini booklets. I really hope that you enjoyed following along as I made these fun, cute, and fairly quick little notebooks, booklet things. I hope that other people will like them as much as I do. And let me know what you think in the comments, or share if you have given it a go on my, you can tag me on Instagram at Life is Wild and Free, or you can find me on Facebook at Live Wild and Free. I hope to see you soon in the next video. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye.